Hi everyone, I'm Sakshi and I welcome you to the BEdNotes presented by Train the Teacher. Today we are going to talk about Jean Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Okay, where we are going to talk about who Jean Piaget is, what is the meaning of cognition. We'll have a look at the chart, the theory itself, and we'll be talking about it in detail: schema, assimilation, accommodation, equilibrium, and the different stages of it. I hope you're ready. Then let's get started. Great. So everybody, a common mistake that many students do is that they call or they pronounce his name as Jean Piaget. Okay, so it's not that, it's Jean Piaget. I've written it also here to simplify for you. Jean Piaget. Okay, Jean Piaget was a 20th century biologist. He was from Swiss. He later turned into child psychologist, and he was famous for his theory of cognitive development. The theory says that development of thinking in humans from infancy to adulthood, that's what the theory talks about or covers. He was so keen that he studied his own kids for the theory, and he gave so apt theory that no one termed his theory wrong ever. Okay, cognition, everybody. What is the meaning of cognition? I'll tell you in a very simple way, and I'm sure you're never going to forget. Cognition is a person's ability to thunder. Okay, cognition is a person's ability to thunder, a person's ability to think, a person's ability to hypothesize, a person's ability to understand, a person's ability to notice, a person's ability to draw conclusion, to evaluate, to reason, and remember. This is a quick, short way for you to understand what cognition is. Okay, the word cognition has come from Latin word which is cognoscere. Cog means together, and the cere means to know, which in turn means getting to know. So a person's ability to think, understand, reason, remember, imagine, hypothesize, understand, notice, draw conclusion, evaluate, reason, and remember is cognition. Okay, and cognitive development is a process by which an infant becomes intelligent by acquiring knowledge and through thinking, reasoning, and learning. So this is cognition. I hope we understand the meaning of cognition before we get started with the theory of understanding cognitive development. All right, so Piaget's cognitive theory of development बहुत आसान है, but आपको समझनी पड़ेगी. Okay, because we can't memorize it. If you are going to memorize it, it will not stick with you for long. So Piaget's theory of cognitive development is divided into three aspects: cognitive structure, cognitive functioning, and stages of development. Cognitive structure में है schema, cognitive functioning में है assimilation, accommodation, and equilibrium, and stages में है sensory motor stage, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and stage of formal operation. Sensory motor stage is further divided into 6 stages: stage of reflex actions, stage of primary circular reaction, stage of circular reaction, stage of coordination of secondary schemata or schema, stage of tertiary circular activities, and stage of invention of new means through mental continuation. Pre-operational stage is again further divided into 2: preconceptual and intuitive stage, and concrete and stage of formal operations have no further subdivisions. So this is how the table looks like. You can have a look. All right, we'll move further, everybody, and let's understand what a schema is. So the first element under cognitive structure is schema. Schema is internal representation of world in one's mind, a way of organizing the knowledge and a way of storing everything we've learned so far. बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल देती हूँ मैं आपको एक. फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल देखो, माई schema for holy festival includes colors, gujia, gulal, lots of homemade delicacies and guests. But someone else's schema may have entirely different things into it of the same festival. internal representation of the world in one's mind. My schema for studying includes note taking, sticky notes, color pens, detailed reading, etc. Somebody's schema of studying may be completely different. उनके schema में क्या पता आपके schema में हो, using internet, watching YouTube, understanding it, listening, okay, highlighting in the books. That may be your schema. Okay, the third one is a newborn has a sucking schema, which means anything that touches the lips or fingers, ये उनका innate schema होता है. He'll start sucking it. For example, toy, thumb, a thing. The schema develops by age. For an example, genetically programmed. Yeah, so ये जो schema है ना, ये genetically programmed schema है. I hope you're able to understand what a schema is. Internal representation of the world in one's mind. Now we'll understand what assimilation means, everybody. Okay, in assimilation, the learner fits the new idea into what he already knows. Schema is only modified, not changed, using the existing schema, okay, the existing knowledge. And assimilation occurs when a human is faced with a new thing or experienced and refers to previously learned information in order to make sense of it. Again, example देखते हैं, बहुत अच्छे से समझ आएगा आपको. The child looks at the TikToker, okay, with loud makeup, and he ends up considering him a Bloody Mary who scares kids. I hope you know Bloody Mary who scares kids. Now the kid shouts in fear, "Ghost, ghost." Okay, which is not true, of course. वो एक TikToker है, loud makeup किया हुआ है, makeup tutorial था maybe, right? But बच्चे को लगा कि oh, it's a ghost जो बच्चों को पकड़ता है, Bloody Mary. तो उसने बोला oh, ghost, ghost, ghost. Okay, second example, a child sees a man who is bald on top, half वो गंजे हैं ऊपर से. एक आदमी को बच्चे ने देखा, and he has got frizzy hair on side. तो बीच में से गंजे हैं और साइड में हेयर है, और बच्चे को लगा oh, it's a clown. So he said, out of excitement, he said oh, clown. So obviously which is not true. So assimilation में यही होता है, जब भी एक नई चीज़ आती है तो हमारा दिमाग जो है वो जो पहले से हमें उस जैसी चीज़ पता है वो उससे कनेक्ट करने की और समझने की कोशिश करता है. ऑलराइट, सो दिस इज़ assimilation. The last one, not the last one, second last one, a very important one, which is accommodation. Now this happens when the existing knowledge does not work and we have to change or add the new schema in order to understand the new object, new thing or new situation. Let's understand it. In the previous example, looking at the TikToker, the child screamed thinking it's a ghost, which is not fair. Now the kid's mother explained to him that everyone who puts loud makeup with white clothes is not ghost. She's a dancer, now with this new knowledge, the child was able to change his schema of ghost and make this idea fit better to a standard concept of ghost. I hope you're able to make sense. Assimilation में देखो क्या होता है. Assimilation में compare, I've made a little chart here. Schema, what you already know. Assimilation, comparing an existing thing with a new similar thing. Only comparison takes place here. यहाँ पे हम किसी conclusion पे नहीं पहुँचते, यहाँ पे कोई correction नहीं होता है, यहाँ पे just आपको new चीज़ मिली और आपको जो पता है आप उससे compare करते हो कि ओह क्या ये वो है. But in accommodation आप correct करते हो बच्चे की लर्निंग को, एंड दैट्स हाउ यू हेल्प. ओके, ऑल्सो क्लाउन वाला एग्जाम्पल देखते हैं. इन द प्रीवियस एग्जाम्पल, लुकिंग एट bald man, the child screamed clown, which is not right, and it needs to be changed. So the father explained that the man was not a clown, even though he his hair was like clown's hair, but he wasn't wearing a funny costume, was he? And he wasn't doing any funny thing to make people laugh. देखिए ऐसे फादर अपने बच्चे को समझा रहे हैं, वो डिस्टिंग्विश कर रहे हैं प्रॉपर्ली. Now with this new knowledge, the boy was able to change his schema of clown and make this idea fit better to be a standard concept of clown. Okay everybody, so this is what accommodation means. The last one is equilibrium. So equilibrium occurs when the child's schema can deal with the most of new information through assimilation. However, an unpleasant stage of disequilibrium, disbalance, occurs when new information cannot be filled into existing schemas. The balanced relation between assimilation and accommodation is known as equilibrium. Equilibrium between both is very important for the cognitive functioning of the child, and equilibrium means state of balance. In short, state of balance between an existing knowledge and new knowledge. Example, in both the examples of TikToker and clown, if the child stays confused, it means a disequilibrium has taken place. So it's like that. Equilibrium is all about maintaining balance and avoiding disequilibrium. I hope everybody, it did make sense to you. Equilibrium, accommodation, assimilation. You can also refer to this mini chart. Schema, what you already know. Assimilation, comparing an existing thing with a similar new thing. Accommodation, when you are able to distinguish between those two similar things which are actually different. Okay, and equilibrium, maintaining a balance between applying old knowledge and changing behavior to get new knowledge. So this was all about schema, assimilation, accommodation and equilibrium. Now we'll move to the stages of development. We'll start with sensory motor stage. All right, so Piaget's theory of cognitive development, sensory motor stage, birth to 2 years. I've written 6 simple points. Sensory exploration, infants use their senses to learn about the world. Okay. Reflexive behavior, obviously reflex behavior is automatic response of the body to something. For example, hot object आएगा तो बच्चे को लगेगा तो वो तुरंत वो करेगा, तो वो रिफ्लेक्स बिहेवियर सीखता है इस एज में. ऑब्जेक्ट परमानेंस, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है ये. अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट ऑब्जेक्ट्स एग्जिस्ट इवन व्हेन नॉट सीन. मम्मी उसको नहीं दिखेगी लेकिन उसको पता है कि मम्मी है, एंड देन ही विल क्राई. ऑल्सो let's say उसका कोई टॉय नहीं है, उसका that टाइगर टॉय, सॉफ्ट टॉय इज़ नॉट देयर, सो ही विल क्राई बिकॉज ही नोज़ कि वो आसपास नहीं है बट वो है, वो एग्जिस्ट करता है. Circular reactions, it means repeating actions to explore their effects for the sake of enjoyment, like sucking thumb, pulling something like that. Imitation, copying actions of others, like for an example, they copy their parents, they copy what the other sibling is doing. Cause and effect understanding, for an example, pressing a button on a toy that produces sound. So वो देखेगा कि ये करूँगा तो इससे क्या होगा. That curiosity is always there, and the circular reaction फिर से आ जाएगा कि वो करते रहेंगे वो देखने के लिए. See, understanding that circular actions lead to certain outcomes. So this is all about sensory motor stage, everybody. Also, as we remember that sensory motor stage has some subsections or the sub levels. Let's look into that as well. So sensory motor stage had these 6 sub stages. Let's understand quickly them as well. So here they are, and they are very similar to what we've just discussed. Substage reflexes, okay. Birth to 1 month. Description, automatic reflexes जैसे कि innate schema, automatic reflexes होंगे उसके, innate schema होगा, sucking, grasping, etc. Primary circular reaction 1 month to 4 months. Primary circular reaction includes repeated action, repetitive actions on his own body to drive pleasure, जैसे thumb suck करना या कुछ और करना. Okay. Secondary circular reaction 4 months to 8 months. Now repeated actions focused on objects, so repeatedly shaking a rattle to produce sound, repeatedly throwing something like that. Next is coordination of secondary schema 8 months to 12 months, जैसे कि coordination of different actions to achieve a goal, जैसे कि using a stick to reach a toy. Okay, coordination of secondary schema. Then we have tertiary circular reaction 12 months to 18 months. Cause and effect thinking, जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा सिमिलर है सर्कुलर रिएक्शन से. बिगिनिंग ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशनल थॉट 18 मंथ्स टू 24 मंथ्स, जहाँ पे उसको ये बिगिनिंग है नेक्स्ट स्टेज की डायरेक्टली. सिम्बॉलिक प्रिटेंड प्ले, हम बात करेंगे इसके बारे में डिटेल में, प्रिटेंड प्ले के बारे में. ओके, सो दीज वर सम दीज वर द 6 स्टेजेस, जो बहुत सिंपल है एंड दे आर वेरी मच रिलेटेड टू व्हाट वी हैव जस्ट ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड. All right, Now we'll move forward to the next stage, which is pre-operational stage, and it is from 2 to 7 years. Now this stage is further divided. I hope you remember that this stage was further divided into two sub-stages. So pre-operational, pre-conceptual period, and intuitive stage. Now pre-conceptual period is from 2 to 4 years, whereas intuitive is from 4 to 7 years. Okay. Also, pre-conceptual has three elements like symbolic play, animism, and animistic thinking. I've highlighted them from yellow. And the intuitive one has the other four elements like egocentrism, okay, limited understanding of conservation, language, and reasoning. Let's start talking about symbolic play. It's very easy to understand. I'm sure you must have observed children at your home. Try reading it, please. Children engage in pretend play. They use objects to represent other things. For example, using a block as a phone, right? So it's like that. That is symbolic play or pretend play. Egocentrism, difficulty in understanding perspective, that is egocentrism. The word itself is self-explanatory. Animism, children attribute lifelike qualities to objects, like behaving stuffed animal has feelings. I'm sure this, even we all have done it, right? Animism, that my teddy bear is my best friend. My teddy bear is hungry, let me feed my teddy bear. So it's like that. Animistic thinking, they behave that natural phenomena are caused by personal factors. Okay, for an example, thinking thunderstorm occurs because someone is angry. Okay, so this is animistic thinking. Pretend play, animism, animistic thinking, everything is in preconceptual one. Now in intuitive one, we've already talked about egocentrism. Next is limited understanding of conservation. For an example, inability to grasp that quantity remains same despite changes in appearance. Okay, so even if let's say there is a row of 6 coins, remain the same even if they're spread out. So it's like that. Amount of liquid remains the same even if it is poured in different container. वो understanding अभी नहीं है. Okay, language, rapid language development takes place. Cooing से वो words और phrases पे आ जाते हैं, समझने लगते हैं, पूरे sentences भी बोलते हैं. Reasoning intuitive होती है, logical नहीं होती है. So this was all about pre-operational phase, everybody, sensory motor and pre-operational stage. Now we'll go to the next one, which is concrete operational, 7 to 11 years. तो यहाँ पे अब हम देखेंगे कि काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें बच्चों को समझ आने लग जाती है, जैसे कि लॉजिकल थिंकिंग. Okay, they can draw conclusion, classification and seriation. So they can sort toys by color, shape, size, etc. classify कर पाते हैं, and they can put them in specific order too. Decentration, they can consider multiple perspective, जैसे कि यहाँ पे egocentrism था, यहाँ पे decentration है. Next is reversibility. They understand that actions can be reversed. For an example, puzzle can be made again. Reversibility का उनको समझ आता है. Mental operations, they can solve problems in their head like addition, subtraction. Conservation, understanding that quality of something stays the same even if it changes the appearance, जैसे हमने यहाँ पे already बात करी है conservation की. So this was all about concrete operational. The last phase, everybody, is formal operation, which is 11 to then adulthood. इसमें 6 points हैं, बहुत easy हैं. ये हमारा best level of cognitive development है, जहाँ पे सब कुछ full fledged almost हो गया है. Abstract thinking उनको समझ आने लग जाती है. They understand the concept of love, justice, friendship, abstract topics. Okay, hypothetical reasoning उन्हें समझ आने लग जाती है. Can imagine about imaginary situation, what if you were astronaut, what if this happened. Okay, scientific reasoning also, about the last point, maths में I'm sure हम सब ने वो question solve किए कि suppose Ram has 10 apples, if 2 apples are taken, how many will be left, things like that. So ये 11 के बाद ही उनके curriculum में introduce होती हैं. Scientific reasoning, for an example, why should we not drink water while eating food? How does the aroma of perfume reaches within some seconds after spraying? वो सारे concepts उनको समझ आने लग जाते हैं. Problem solving skills develop करते हैं, obviously, no explanation required. reflective thinking. They can react, or they can reflect on their thoughts कि अच्छा मैंने ऐसा किया, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, और मैंने ऐसा किया, अच्छा किया. Okay, that what do we say, that introspection takes place. The last one is complex cognitive abilities also start taking place, like decision making, planning their time, their day, time management, okay, decision making about their career, etc. So everybody, this was all about Piaget's theory of cognitive development. I hope we were able to make sense out of it. So this was all about the video, everybody, the concept. Let me know if you were able to understand something, and let me also know if you need notes on any other subject. Till then, happy learning and all the best for your exams.